Welcome to pattern making class. I'm your college instructor, Annette Julie, and today we will be working on developing princess seams for our front and back skirt. We are working in quarter scale. You will need your back and your front quarter scale skirt blocks, ruler, pen or pencil, some clear tape, and your paper scissors, and your contrasting paper. So here we have the back and the front. The back you can tell by the much longer darts. There's our front. And we're going to work with the front first and develop the princess seams on that. Then we're going to move on to our back. So what's very handy is that the skirt block has two darts that you can develop princess seams from. You can just draw lines straight down if you wanted to. And one of them is in a good position, but it's always best to move either the center one towards the front or this side one towards the side a little bit, so you have a little bit more space between these two tips and a little bit more even panels, a side, a middle, and a center. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move the dart closest to the center front over a little bit. And we can see this is the center front because this is straight. And here we have our hip curve, so we know this is our side seam. Okay. So here we've marked the end of that tip of the dart. This is the dart closest to the center front here. And I'm going to mark a line over 1/8 of an inch. And I'm going to move this whole dart over. I move the tip over. Now I'm going to move each one of those dart legs over. So now I'm going to go ahead and draw the dart legs to the new tip. So basically this is about 1/8, and I move this leg over here, over 1/8 to here. And I move this leg here, over 1/8 to here. Okay, now I'm ready to make my parallel line with the center front using the new dart position I just came up with. There's my first princess seam, and I'm not using that dart. We move this over, went this direction. Now where the second dart is, I'm fine with that placement. That's going to look good on a large scale, like a full scale pattern. So let's go ahead and draw that line parallel. Now this may look like this is a bit larger compared to the other ones, but this is going to be wrapping around to the hip, and you're only going to see about that much. So we could even move this line over more if we felt like it, but this is a good start. Now on our center front and side front and the middle front, we've got to go ahead and put some notches, because once we take these pieces apart, they will look the same. So from the bottom here, I'm going to go up about 1/4 of an inch on this first line and 1/2 inch on the second line. Okay, then I'm going to flip this And I'm going to go down. I'm going to get my notches away from what we have going on in the waist. I'm going to go down 1 inch and make a notch. And then 1 1/4. So 1 inch on the first line and 1 1/4 on the second line. Now, I definitely make the notches different going from the hem up and from the waist down. We don't want you to be able to flip those pieces and have those notches match. So now this has its own unique notching system here in the front for the princess seams. And also, too, single notches, how we've placed here, denote front. We can go ahead and cut and separate these, but we can also draw our grain lines and our information. Let's draw arrows going both directions. And this is going to be the center, front, princess, seam, skirt. Then we'll go ahead and put another grain line in our second piece here. Draw arrows going both directions. And this is going to be our middle, front, princess, seam, skirt. You can also call this a panel. Then we have the third piece over here to the side. Let's get a grain line in there. Right in the middle. Draw arrows going both directions. And then this is our side, front, princess, seam, skirt, panel. I usually wait and cut them apart before labeling them, but this is much better for this skirt because it's these pieces can all look the same. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut where the new dart is and then get onto the princess line that I drew. Not the grain line that has the information, but the princess seam line that I made the single notches. Now we can see that we need to cut out that dart. That dart right here, that goes away. And we're on to our middle front princess seam panel. Cut on the first dart leg and then down that style line. There's our middle piece, and we cut the darts out on both sides. And then this is our side, and all we need to do for the side is cut out that last dart there at the waist and get rid of it. Now we can go ahead and lay our center, middle, and front down there and tape them in place. Let's go ahead and grab some tape. Now I'm trying to line up the grain line with the edge of the paper, which would be our selvage edge, our lengthwise grain of fabric. And then I'm trying to line these all up on the hem and the horizontal balance line going across. If you'd like to use a ruler to do this, feel free to. I'm going to eyeball it for now, and I can adjust it a little bit later if I need to. There we go, our center front, our middle, and our side front. And we can see that it has notches that are matching. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to take the back and we're going to place it here. And we're always going to place things where we have the side seams together. Okay, let's get working on the back. Now with the back, I could leave the darts where they are, but I could also take the dart closest to our center back and move that whole dart over. So here's our center back, our side seam, we have our waist, and of course our hem. And I'm going to move the dart closest to the center back over. I can move that over about 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to draw the bottom of where that dart tip is. There's my new dart tip. I'm going to move each one of those lines over 1/8. There's one line parallel, and there's my second line, and I have moved this dart over to a new position. Like I said, it'll help to have more even princess seam panels. Now I can take where the tip of that dart is now, place my ruler so it's parallel with my center back, and draw a line from that dart tip down. And we're happy with the position for the other dart, so we can just go to the tip and draw that princess style line down. Now one thing that's really different than for the back than the front is the notches. We have to use double notches on the back and single notches on the front. Always. So down here at the hem, let me go up 3/4 and another 1/8. Okay, and that's on the seam closest to the center back. Then I'm going to go up 1 inch and another 1/8. Okay, just so that they're different. Okay, now I've got to do the notches here from the waist. Let's just go and get away from those darts. So I don't even know what the measurement is. It's more about getting away from that mess up there. So I put a set of double notches here. Looks like it's down like 1.5 inches or something. And let me go ahead and make another set of double notches on the other princess seam. And they are at different lengths from the waist and different lengths from the hem. So the pieces cannot be flipped and used in a different direction. So let's go ahead and put the grain lines on. Let's go ahead and do it for our center back. Draw an arrow both directions. And this is our center back princess seam skirt panel. And then we're going to go to our next one. Let's make a grain line right in the middle of that pattern piece, because we're going to cut and separate all 3 of those. Get another arrow on there, both directions. Now this is the middle back princess seam skirt panel. Then we have one more over here on the side. Get another grain line right in the middle of that pattern piece. Arrows going both directions. And this is our side back princess, seam, skirt panel. Now I feel good at cutting them apart. We know what they are and how to put them back together with our notches. If you want to be a little fancy, you can curve the lines of the darts in a little bit to allow for a curve over the butt and hip area. And curve that in a little bit if I want to. Not everyone's figure curves like that. And not all factories can sew a slightly curved dart. Very slight curvature. Optional. Now let's go ahead and cut and separate those panels. Cutting down the line with the notches and separating the side back. And we can see the middle back has that dart on it. I have got to cut that off on the curve line up there towards the waist. Now I can separate my center back from the middle back along the new darts I moved over and that little bit of that curved line. There we go. We've got rid of 2 darts. We don't need those. Those are not part of the pattern. And we're going to start with our center back. And then we've got our middle back. And our side back. And we can see that the notches are lining up here and there, right there, and of course there, and our hem. And we would join those 2 side seams together. So let's go ahead and tape this down. And that looks great. And this is our quarter scale. And this is our princess seam skirt panels, front and back. And here we have our back, 3 pieces, and here we have our front, 3 pieces. That looks great. This is Annette Julie, and I look forward to having you watch my next video.